Hi everybody, it's Beck here from Rebecca Richards, Kinesiology. So today's YouTube class is about what to expect in having a kinesiology session with me before, during your session, and then after your session. I'm going to deliver this to people that may not have seen me before. It might be a first time for you. And what we'll go with first is what to expect before a kinesiology session. So clients will come to me in two different ways. So they will come to me via marketing, the marketing that I do, whether that's on social media or my newsletter. And there may be something about my message or my communication or something that I'm talking about on within my marketing that really resonates with the client, and they feel as though I might be a good fit in supporting them with their goals or what they're wanting to work toward. So clients can come in that way through the marketing. The other way that clients come through as well is word of mouth. Now, word of mouth for me has been my number one form of clientele. It's fantastic. It's always been my favorite. And I know for me, when I'm booking a session with someone, I'll always sort of go, I want to go and see this chiropractor, I'm thinking of seeing this naturopath, or I'm wanting to hire a shed builder, which is what we're trying to, we're looking at now. Who would you recommend? I'll say that to the people that I know, and it's really nice to go on word of mouth. So word of mouth is one way, marketing's another. Now, people will book in for generally a specific reason. They might have something going on with themselves physically or mentally or emotionally, or they're booking their child in because there's something going on, whether it's physically, mentally, or emotionally. And you can book yourself in via my website. I've got a booking service that I pay for monthly in the back end of my website. And when you're booking in there, you will be asked as a first-time client to please fill in a new client form. That client form becomes my anchor point to you. That becomes something that I hold on to and keep. And every time I work with you, it becomes my file on you. So whether I work with you once every 2 years or once every couple of months, all of the information is stored in that file of you. And your new intake client form is the beginning of our conversation. So when you fill that in for me, I then print it off on my end and I have that available. What I also want you to know before you have a session as well is you will book in for a particular reason. Generally, you might sort of go, I feel like I need a tune up, or I feel like I'm dealing with this particular issue and I want some support, and this person feels right to me, so I'm going to book in with her. And what can happen when you make that booking and you lock yourself into a session with me, what can begin to happen is things start to come to the surface, other things start going on. And that is normal. That is just so normal. So you might book in because you've got, sore lower back. And over the next couple of weeks before your session, other things start coming to the surface where a particular relationship you're in might come under the microscope, where you might find you're getting angry really easily and you're having trouble controlling that in different ways. You might find that you are struggling with your energy. What I want you to do when you start to notice other things coming to the surface, write it all down. Write it all down, have it on a bit of paper, and when you have your session with me, we will go through it. It's very, very normal that you book in for one reason, and by the time you come to your appointment, there's other stuff happening. So the healing often begins when you book your session. People often think it's when you have your session, but the actual work begins when you book yourself in with me. That's where it starts off. Some people actually say to me, oh, once I booked in, I started to just feel better. Like I just started feeling like things were lifting off my shoulders. So or people go the other way where they say, I booked in and then all these other issues started coming to the surface. It's okay. Just take notice, write it down. Try and watch what's going on rather than being too triggered by it. So just observe. during a session. So you will attend your session, so whether that's in person or online. And the first part of the session is the talking. It's where I sit with you and I chat with you. I have your form in front of me, again, whether it's in person or via distant, and I run through the physical stuff that you've ticked off for me, whether that's the food that you're eating, your alcohol consumption, physical ailments that you may have, medications that you may be on. I'll run through all the physical stuff of that particular form. What I'll then do is I will then ask you, what's going on? What's going on in your life? How are things going? Tell me about work. Tell me about your relationships. If you've got children, tell me about them. Tell me more about how you're feeling and what's going on in the last couple of weeks of your life. And then I'll also ask you if you've had any particular highlights in your life that have defined you, or any lowlights that you feel have defined you. And I just like to get those pinpointed down because they can have quite a profound effect upon where we are today, whether they're positive or negative, or highlights or lowlights. I like to have sort of markers of those as well on your file. I'll then ask you what you want to get out of the session, why you're here, what do you want? We set a job description, and I often say to people, I'm like a mechanic and you're a car. You don't just take your car to the mechanic and go, there you go. You say to the mechanic, righto, I've booked the car in because it's, I'm having trouble with when I start the car. So that's sort of what I want to look at, but I kind of want you to give it a bit of an overhaul as well. And that's what I do. I say to you, what do you want? What do you want from the session? How do you want to feel when you walk away? How do you want to feel when you leave? How do you want to feel in the next week or two? And that is where I start to define with you what your goal is. And that is then what we work towards. That's what the kinesiology balance is for, is to balance your energy in your body to your desired outcome. What I also ask my clients as well, I ask them actually before they book in their email that they receive from me, and I ask you again in the session when we're chatting, is if anything were possible, how do you want life to look in 12 months? If anything were possible, how do you want your life to be in 12 months' time? And I have found that to be a really integral part of my work with clients, because I find that we're trained as kinesiologists to work with what's at hand, what's going on for that person, and balance them to wellness or well-being or a goal that they've got. And often we keep in the micro details of what's going on for that person now, which is fine. That's fine, because I've done that for many years. But over the last probably 10 years, I've started to integrate, well, let's work with the micro level. Let's work with what's going on now and what you want support with. But let's not forget about the macro picture, the bigger picture. How do you want things to be in a year? So that we can work with even spending a minute or 2 minutes or sometimes half an hour on balancing you to your macro, your bigger picture, so that you are on track to being there. And what I love about asking that question to people is it starts to create a new neural pathway in the brain where we start remembering what we desire, what we want at a bigger level. In life and being an adult, we often get so caught up in the smaller details, paying the bills, making sure the kids have got what they need, or work, I've got to get this done, that done, then I've got to exercise as well, what's for dinner, I've got to go shopping, I forgot to get that bill's coming in, have I walked the dog? We get caught up in all the details in here, in the micro. And adults often forget to dream, and they forget to have visions, and they forget to think bigger and connecting to their potential of what they want in 12 months time. So I love to add that facet in. Now, when I work with clients in a mentoring way, whether that's within my 3-month mentorship program, the Clear, or when I do my 7-month mentorship program, we go into that in absolute finer details, and that becomes a really big part of my work with people, because I think it's really essential. But I also want to bring little moments of that into one-on-one sessions as well, that we start to just create space in the brain to start remembering, oh yeah, gosh, what if anything was possible in 12 months time? How would my life look? And people might go, actually it wouldn't look much different. I would just want to have more time and space, and I want to feel healthier. Whereas for some people it might be, wow, if anything were possible, everything would be different in my life. So it starts to just get people thinking on a grander level, so on the micro and the macro level, which is important. Once we finish chatting, you'll then get on the table, my massage table, or if you're in a distance session, I will then hang up the phone and I will perform the session on myself using biofeedback, and I will voice record the whole session. If it's a child, it's for 45 minutes. If it's for an adult, it's for an hour. If you're in with me in person, it's generally about an hour on the table, 50 to 60 minutes on the table, depending on how long we've spoken for. And I do the biofeedback. I find out what's going on in your body, what's happening, what's going on that's contributing to the stuff as to why you booked in. What's going on at a causal level, like what is doing this? What is at the core? What's going on? And it could be a whole lot of different things. It could be the microbiome, it could be biochemistry, it could be liver function, it could be attitude, it could be genetics, it could be someone stuck in a particular season of their life that they need to release and be present in the season that they're in. It could be a spiritual link to something or someone. It could be a conflict or a sabotage. It could be lots of different things. And we start to go, well, what does that person's body need? What does the client's body need to release the stress and bring them in alignment with their goal? Their shorter goal of how they want to feel in the next week or two, and also then their bigger goal of where they want to be in 12 months' time. What is the remedy? What is the catalyst that body needs, that body, mind, and spirit need to bring them into a state of balance and harmony with their goal of wellness, of balance, of harmony, and also their longer goal. And I may work with 5 people in a week that have the same thing. You know, they're coming in, they're going, I have anxiety, but I will guarantee that every single session with those 5 people are all different. So although they have the same symptom, the cause and the remedy, the catalyst will be different for each person. Everybody is unique. Our expressions can be similar, but why and what their remedy is always different. That's probably why I love kinesiology so much, actually, is that the uniqueness of each person and the package. And I still find I've been doing kinesiology for 24 years this year. I just gone 24 years. And clients that have seen me for a long time will see me get excited when things are coming up, because I'm just still, there's no generic way. Everybody's so intrinsically unique, and they will present things their bodies will present things in such different ways. And it still interests me, to be doing a job for, over 2 decades, and to still be interested in the formatting and people's bodies and human nature, and wellness is I feel really grateful that I still really enjoy working with you, and that interests me. So we then define what the remedy is, the catalyst is, and I encourage you to implement that. So that could be where you go home with a particular essence that's got some flower essences in it and some vibrational essences, elemental essences. It could be where I've asked you to rub, we've worked online and I've been asking you to work with a particular acupuncture point on the body, and you may need to do that regularly and work with your goal twice a day for the next 3 weeks. It could be where you need to bring a particular homeopathic in to help with something physical in the body, or a particular food or nutrition. Or it could be a particular changing something in the way that you're living, changing the way that you're finishing your day or starting your day, or your language. You will have something that you need to implement when you leave. I generally, some people are a little bit more, they might have more homework and others might not have much. I often say to my clients, let the session do its work. You've come to me, you've paid me to support you, and we have shifted chi and energy to be more aligned with what you're wanting to achieve. Let the work for you, and do that little bit of homework to help enforce things so that you are aligned with your goal of what you're wanting to achieve. Our bodies are always trying to be healthy and in balance. We forget that. That's what our bodies are programmed to do, is to be healthy and well, and to reproduce and to stay in equilibrium. So if we can work with the body and the mind and our energy system to ask it what it wants, it will then naturally work with healing itself. One of my favorite books that I read, and it was written by Deepak Chopra, who is, he's one of the kings of Ayurvedic medicine. On one of the back of his books, he writes on the back of this book, every year, 98% of the total number of atoms in our body is replaced. Isn't that amazing? 98% of the total number of atoms in your body is replaced. Why does our body replace it with unwell cells? And it starts to talk about the energy of mind-body medicine. So if we can come into that layer where there is the replica of disease over and over again, if we can come in and interfere with that and change it to more of a frequency of healing and energy, we can then change the cells in recovering into wellness. It's something I want you to think about. So your session will, anything that comes up for you, because there'll be so much information that comes up in your session, I will either text that through to you, or email that through to you if you're distant, or if you're with me in person, I'll write it all down for you so that you don't feel like you're kind of like, oh, I'm not going to remember it. I'll write it down for you, and then you walk away from the session. You implement what I've asked you to do. And what happens after a session, right? What happens after a session is you'll be integrating and processing. You'll be integrating and processing, and this can happen for a few days or a couple of weeks. And as a receiver of kinesiology for the past 30 years, what happens for me is I'll have the session, and then when I'm doing the mundane things in my life, like driving the car to get the kids from school, or getting dinner ready, or putting clothes on the line, or having a shower, or all of those things that don't require a lot of thought, and little things start dropping into the brain where I think, oh, that's right, that came up and that sort of fits with that, and why was I thinking about like that for that? Because that feels really different now. It's where in those spaces where your brain and your energy system is able to process and integrate everything that's come through in the session, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And that can take a couple of weeks. And I just want you to know that when you walk away, you'll feel like, wow, that was amazing, or that was full on, or whatever it was, but it will take a few days or weeks for it to settle in. I often say again, you don't know how well the mechanic did on the car until you get in the car and you drive it for a couple of weeks, and then you go, oh wow, the engine's not doing that anymore. That feels really smooth, that feels really good. It's the same with us. It's the same with our body when we have a kinesiology session, is that it takes a little bit of time to walk in the work. I'll always connect with you a week later and just say, hey, how you going? Just remember to drink lots of water, eat well, remember your goal, remember what we're working on, and know that I'm here to support you should you need it in the future. And that it is important. It's important after a session to allow the integration to take place, to look after yourself. You know, look after yourself with really simple things: rest, making sure you're getting good sleep, having really nice food and good quality food, and drinking water. We underestimate water. Water is vital to our body, to our cells, to our brain. So, you know, just make sure you're getting enough water and that it's clean and filtered water as well. That's another YouTube conversation I could leave, and I could probably talk about that for an hour of just water, but I won't go there. And I do talk about it a lot when I teach my mentorship and we talk about water for a month. Anyway, so after your session, it takes time to walk it in. And when I see people on a second session, so whether that's 2 months later, 3 months later, 6 months later, I always go back to and say to them, this is what we worked on. Have you still got this going on? Is that still how you're feeling? What about that? What about that? And they're like, oh, actually, that's not happening. This is happening now. So it's where we can just revisit, because I've got that file of yours, we can revisit, this is where we started, how are you going in relation to that now, so that you've got a point in time that you're able to refer back to. And often working with me will be a catalyst to lots of other things starting to shift and come into place for you. So some kinesiologists work where you might work with them once a week or once every 2 weeks for an ongoing period of time. I don't work like that. I work where I like to have at least 4 to 6 weeks in between sessions, at least. Because in my experience, and when you work with me, it takes that long to integrate the work that I've done with you. I don't know if it's because I've been working for so long, or I don't know if it's the way I structure my sessions, you know, where we're looking at not just the micro stuff, but we're looking at the macro as well. But it does take, I would always suggest that if you're going to come back for another session, leave it between at least 4 to 6 weeks in between our sessions. It would be more profitable for me to say come back each week or each fortnight, but you know, I'm in integrity where, you know, that's not how I work, and you know, it's generally, I get further with people if you book in, say, 3 sessions over 6 months or 3 sessions over 3 months or 4 months. We're able to get a lot further than if I was to work with you every week for 3 or 4 months. I don't know why that is, but that's how I work, and it works best. So that's what to expect before a session, kinesiology session, during a kinesiology session, and after a kinesiology session. So if you're feeling drawn to work with me, and you're still a little bit unsure, just email me or give me a call and we can have a chat. And yeah, I look forward to working with you. So I love holding space and working with people, and I feel very grateful and fortunate that a lot of my clients I've been seeing for some of them for decades. So some people just a one-off session they'll have with me. Other people will come regularly. Some people come every few years. So everybody's different, and I feel really grateful in that I'm able to see people's evolution within their lifetimes. So yeah, any questions, just hit me up and yeah, reach out. Okay, I hope that's answered any of your questions. Okay, take care. See you. Bye.